Hey there, lake lovers. Today we're diving into the refreshing waters of the three largest lakes and reservoirs here in the Indianapolis area and all the amazing activities you can enjoy on and around the water. Whether you're into boating, fishing, swimming, or just relaxing by the shore, there's something here for just about everyone. If you're new here, I'm Cameron Geesaman, local Indianapolis area resident and professional real estate agent, and I love making videos like this for people like you that are considering making a move to, from, and around the Indy metro area. Thanks again for joining me today, and I'm excited about today's topic, so let's get started. First up, let's take a quick tour of the three main bodies of water here in the Indy metro area, all of which are reservoirs. First up, we have Geist Reservoir. It is located near Fishers and Indianapolis, and it spans about 1,900 acres. It was constructed in 1943 by damming Fall Creek to provide water for Indianapolis and is the second largest man-made lake in Indiana. It's a hotspot for boating and fishing, with marinas and waterfront dining making it a perfect weekend getaway. Next up, we have Morse Reservoir, which spans from Noblesville all the way up to Cicero. It was filled in the year 1956 using several small creeks as water sources and is now a 1,500-acre body of water. Real estate development began in the 1980s with moderate to upscale homes and condos encircling the reservoir, providing lakefront living and waterfront access. Now, Morse Reservoir is a family-friendly lake that is known for parks, boating, and fishing, and it's an ideal spot for a fun-filled day out. And last but not certainly least, we have Eagle Creek Reservoir, located inside Indianapolis's largest park and on the west side of town. Now, Eagle Creek Reservoir is about 1,400 acres of water, and it's a nature lover's paradise with sailing, kayaking, and 3,900 acres of forest and parks to explore. All right, now that you know a bit about each of the reservoirs, let's dive into the fun activities you can do on the water. First up, let's talk about boating. Whether you love the thrill of speedboating, the relaxation of sailing, or hopping waves on a wave runner, these lakes are great places to have fun. Geist and Morse reservoirs are particularly popular for boating, mainly because of their size and the large number of homes on the lakes. On Geist Reservoir, you have the Indianapolis Sailing Club and the Indianapolis Yacht Club, both of which offer memberships for various boating activities, but you certainly don't have to have a membership to boat on the lake. Both of those places, in addition to the Geist Marina, offer spots for you to lease a boat slip for the season if you don't live on the lake, but still like to go out on your boat fairly often over the summer. If you love to water ski, take the kids tubing, or even wakeboarding, Geist and Morse Reservoir are definitely popular spots for those activities. In fact, if you don't own a boat, but want to rent one for the day, both Geist and Morse have pontoon boats available for rent every day during the boating season. Now, Eagle Creek is a bit different than Geist and Morse in that it has very strict guidelines for the types of boats allowed on the reservoir. All motorized boats must be between 8 feet and 26 feet long and a motor with a maximum of 10 horsepower. So pontoon boats are pretty much the name of the game at Eagle Creek, which is certainly not a bad thing if you dig the laid-back vibe. Now, let's say you own a boat, but don't live on the lake, and you don't rent a boat slip, but you still want to launch your boat for the day. Well, in order to do that, all three reservoirs have boat launch ramps. Now, at Geist, you have to use the Geist launch ramp, which is located on the north side of the reservoir. To launch your boat there, it's $20 for weekdays and $40 for the weekends. So if you plan on boating often, it may be less expensive for you to rent a boat slip at one of the marinas versus launching from the boat ramp every single weekend. In fact, the exact same boat launch pricing goes for Morse Reservoir as well, and there's one place to launch at Morse, which is Morse Marina and Gas House. At Eagle Creek Reservoir, you have the Eagle Creek boat ramp, and launching there is $10, but remember, there are boat restrictions. On all three reservoirs, kayaks and canoes are welcome, so if that's more your vibe, then you've got those options as well. So the next activity I want to talk about is fishing. And I don't know much about it because, let's be honest, I'm not one to be sitting around and waiting for a damn fish to bite. So this section of the video might be a little bit short. According to my research, all three reservoirs are populated with largemouth and smallmouth bass, bluegills, and catfish, along with other fish I've never really heard of. I'm not into fishing, clearly. My husband isn't into fishing either, but his dad and brother are, and they've both told me that they've had great success with fishing on these reservoirs. Honestly, if you want more in-depth info about the fishing scene around these parts, I'd suggest searching up some videos on YouTube where someone a lot more qualified than me can talk to you for hours about fishing. All right, now what about swimming? Can you swim in these reservoirs? Well, of course you can, and a lot of people do. Part of the fun of boating is jumping into the lake to cool off on those hot summer days. We honestly have friends that like to take their boats to Cocktail Cove on Geist, tie up their boats together and swim and float and just hang out for the day. There are also public beaches. In fact, the only public parcel of land on Geist Reservoir is the new Geist Waterfront Park, which is located on the north side of the reservoir. It opened up in 2023 and has a beach, a kayak and canoe boat launch, kayak rentals, a playground, and so much more. Now, Geist Waterfront Park is free for most of the week, but if you're a non-resident of Fishers, you have to pay $25 to enter between 1 and 6 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday afternoons. On Morris, there's Morse Beach, and that costs $6 per person per day. And at Eagle Creek, and at Eagle Creek Park, there is a beach as well, and it's a $7 fee per vehicle to swim there. The only downside I would say to swimming in Geist or Morris is that it is surrounded by homes, and most of those homes treat their lawns, which means the quality of water, in my opinion, isn't the best. If this is a concern for you, then you can look up the toxin exposures on the Indiana Department of Environmental Management's website. Now back to the fun stuff. Okay, so I've covered the major summer activities there are to do on the lake: boating, fishing, and swimming. Let's just say you want to buy a home on the lake. Are there other ways to enjoy the lake during off-peak seasons? Well, of course there are. Let's start with the fall, as I think it's probably the most overlooked season on the water, but quite frankly, one of the most beautiful. Here in central Indiana, it stays warm pretty much all the way through September and sometimes even into the middle of October. Typically, we see the leaves begin to change sometime in October when there is a bit of a chill in the air, but even if it's not still warm, bundling up in a warm coat with a blanket and taking a sunset cruise around the lake when the leaves are changing with the smell of the autumn in the air is really super cool experience. What about winter on the lake? Well, I would say it's a bit different now than it used to be. Winters have been a bit more mild these last 5 to 10 years, so I'm not sure that I can actually recommend ice fishing, as lately the lakes haven't really frozen over much over the winter. Now, coming full circle to the spring, once it starts to get into the 60s in April, it's a great time to shake those winter blues and take a boat ride out on the lake and get ready for warm weather. So let's say you've spent the day on the lake boating, swimming, and or fishing, and you realized you forgot to plan for dinner. Well, don't fret, as all 3 lakes have great restaurants where you can stop for a bite before heading home. On Geist and Morse, you have Wolfie's Bar and Grill, and on Eagle Creek, you have Rick's Cafe Boatyard. The best part is you can dock your boat right at the restaurant and walk right in. So now that I've covered where the 3 main reservoirs are in the Indy metro area and all of the fun things to do on these bodies of water, what about actually owning a property and living on the shoreline of one of these 3 fantastic lakes? Well, that's what I'm going to cover in the next video. I'm going to talk about all the things you need to consider when buying a lake home, the types of properties available on these 3 lakes, HOA rules and lake regulations, maintenance considerations, and so much more. Seriously, I'm going to dive deep into what it takes to live on the lake, and by the end, you'll know if lake living is for you. Spoiler alert, it's not for everyone. As always, thank you for joining me today. Let me know your thoughts about all the lakes and the activities I discussed in the comments below. If you could have had your dream day on the lake, what would you do? And if you're looking to make a move to one of the 3 lakes I talked about today in the Indy metro area anytime in the, say, next 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years, I would love to be your trusted resource and real estate agent. We also put a link in the description below if you want our customized relocation guide. I've helped hundreds of people just like you that are moving to, from, or around the Indy metro area, and I know this area forwards and backwards, top to bottom. If you liked this video, please go ahead and click that like button, and don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss any of the upcoming videos about the Indianapolis and the surrounding areas. Oh, and if you want to watch the next video I just talked about, click here. And one final note, I've left the links in the description below to the website pages for each of the 3 reservoirs I talked about today. If you're wanting any additional information, click there. That's it for me today. Thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!